धन्यवाद प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा। Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to announce their names? Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to announce their names?
Hare Krishna. This is Vinod Mishri from Maryland.
Hare Krishna प्रभु जी। गुरु महाराज की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय। धन्यवाद प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा। Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading chapter 18, the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation, text number 66. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please take over the call now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all the devotees on the phone call. We are reaching the pinnacle of the message that Bhagavad Gita is propounding to all of us. The pinnacle of what Lord Krishna is saying to Arjun Maharaj on the battlefield, and he is now concluding Bhagavad Gita. So, this is the most important, and if there is anything that or that one thing you want to carry from your reading and your listening and your meditation and contemplation of Bhagavad Gita is, then perhaps this is that one shloka that we all should meditate on. It provides the highest uh, level of dharma. It provides glimpses of what that dharma entails, why it is the highest level of and epitome of dharma. Please, I'm first of all happy, I'm honored, I'm humbled to be in a position to talk about this shloka. I'm honored, humbled also by having to go through and listen to other more advanced devotees speak about this shloka. And based on what I have heard from other devotees, what I have contemplated, based on the purports of Prabhupada, we will have the discussion today. But before we begin our discussions, I'll pass over to Sumati Mataji, if you can chant the Mangalacharan prayers for us.
Yes, Prabhuji. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful recitation. So, as is our practice, and because we are privileged to have Haladhar Das Prabhu guide us through the recitation of this verse, I will ask Haladhar Das Prabhu to please, recite this verse and guide us through how to pronounce each word. And then thereafter, we'll progressively go through the purport. This is a slightly longer purport, but there are four paragraphs and one shloka in between. So maybe one devotee can take one paragraph and read the entire paragraph. If there are more devotees and they want to read, then maybe we can split the paragraphs. But generally, we've had four or five of us show interest. So that's the thing. But my request to the other devotees is that because this is a very important shloka, at least as a service, try to recite the verse after Haladhar Das Prabhu has guided us. It doesn't matter how we recite, it is for Krishna. He is the alphabet and He is the word and He is the meaning behind the word. So He understands no matter how good the painting is. If we offer that painting to our parents, they like it, they accept it, they love it. Similarly, our recitation will be accepted by the Lord. So please do it as a service and try to recite this verse in an orderly manner. Hare Krishna.
Dhanyavad Prabhu. Hare Krishna. This is a verse from chapter 18, text number 66, page number 705 on English Bhagavad Gita. So the wordings are Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Masuchaha. Again. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Saranam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Masucha. It's a very easy, beautiful verse, and you can sing it nicely. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Saranam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Masuchaha. Again. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Saranam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Masuchaha. Hare Krishna, please try it.
Hare Krishna. Please reading. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shamarasika here. Sarvadharma parityajam mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma suchaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji, please go on.
Hare Krishna. Sarvadharmam parityajya mamekam sarvanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha.
Good.
Sarvadharma mein pritiyajya mameke sharanam vraja aham tam sarvapyapyo mokshyami ma shucha.
Good try.
Hare Krishna.
Good try, Prabhu.
Anybody else who would like to recite? Okay. Hare Krishna. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. Hare Krishna. So, Haladhar Das Prabhu, if you could do the word for word translation and the reading of the translation of the words. Thereafter, devotees, perhaps in the order of recitation of this verse, each one can read the one paragraph of the purport. Hare Krishna.
The wordings are synonym is Sarva Dharman, all varieties of religion. Parityajya, abandoning. Mam, unto me. Ekam, only. Sarnam, for surrender. Vraja, go. Aham, I. Tvam, you. Sarva, all. Papebhya, from sinful reaction. Moksha ishyami, will deliver. Ma, do not. Such, Such, Wadi. Translation by Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Hare Krishna. Please read the purport.
Hare Krishna. Srimati is reading purport by Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion, knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Super Soul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions. For the Lord personally promises to protect him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of the Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need to strenuous efforts to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Anukulyasa Sarikalpa Pratikulyasa Varjanam Rakshashiyati Vasa Vaso Gopitravtave Varnam Tatha Atma Nikshepa Karpanye Sadvida Saranangatiha. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. I'm sorry. There is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord, in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. There are different processes of religion and purificatory process by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nobody.
Anybody else? Yeah,
No,
please go ahead.
nobody's there. I'll finish the paragraph. Prabhu, it's okay.
Yeah, Prabhu, please go ahead.
One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he's all attractive. One who become attracted by the beautiful, all powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attracted by the super soul features, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal features of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of the knowledge. And this is essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga, empiric philosophers, mysticism, mystics and devotees are all called the transcendentalists. But one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. Particular words used here, ma sucha, do not fear, do not hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna. But such worry is useless. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I'll say a small prayer for myself. Hare Krishna. So, this is, as I had said, is the pinnacle of Lord Krishna's message to Arjuna, and he is now in a concluding state. So, he is actually concluding his message of Bhagavad Gita as he narrated it on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But as we contemplate, I mean, it's very simple actually. So, if we have the mentality of, say, Dhruv Maharaj wanted something, he went out in search for it. That is nothing in some sense special. We all want something in our lives and we want to make an endeavor for it. But he accepted what was told to him by his mother, that he needs to take, shelter of Lord Narayan. And then on his quest to look for Lord Narayan, because the mother only said, "Oh, I have heard that you need to go to the forest and meditate on him." So he sets out on that journey. On the path, Narad Muni becomes very compassionate, and he comes and he guides Dhruv Maharaj, and he says, this is how you need to propitiate the Lord. And Dhruv Maharaj has that, there are no, it's so easy to ask why questions. Why this? Why that? Why this long? Why must I do it? Why can't I get it now? Etc. But Dhruv Maharaj simply accepts everything Narad Muni says and then performs with unwavering, determination. So it's not like, it is afternoon, now I'm hungry. He's a 5-year-old kid, but he has that unwavering determination. So if we have that kind of simplicity to accept and we have the determination to continue on the path, This is the simplest thing, to just simply surrender and not worry about anything. Then it is also the simplest thing. So there are two messages in the first two paragraphs. The first message is, he should simply surrender. Then it becomes a simple process because the person's mind, attitude is very simple. And then in the second paragraph, the other message is, it doesn't matter in what state we are in. So it doesn't matter whether you are in gross ignorance, passion, or in state of goodness. It doesn't matter what varna, what ashram we are in. It really doesn't matter what qualifications we bring, so long as we surrender to the Lord. But this is where that determination comes in. So the simplicity is there to just simply accept it, and the determination is there to stay steadfast in it. Because the word just can be misleading. It's not just surrender. English is in that sense funny. Just could mean, oh, it's only just this, only one thing, surrender. But surrender itself is a very evolved concept. It cannot be taken frivolously. It cannot be that today morning I decide I am going to surrender. Then in the afternoon I want to watch a movie and I want to do whatever I want to do, and then neglect my prayers. Uh, if some calamity comes, then I ask Krishna, oh, why did this happen? And then because the calamity is beyond my capability to resolve, then again I say, oh Lord, I surrender to you. And then the next day again, the whole story repeats. So this is not surrender, and this is not what is meant by surrender here. Surrender here, and we'll get into a little more discussion later on, is similar to the surrender or the, the attitude in some sense. If you have a pet, the attitude the pet has towards you, the attitude and behavior of, nowadays it's not there, and I'm not, don't take it in the wrong way. This is not what is being promoted, but it is in some sense the attitude of a slave to the master. The pet does not demand, it might want, it might seek, but it doesn't do anything if the food is not given on time. It does not complain if more work is taken out of the pet. It does not complain if the pet is not petted. Similarly, the slave, it doesn't matter how many hours of work are taken out of them, what kind of work is taken out of them, what kind of punishment is given to them. If no reward is given, it doesn't matter to the slave. The slave is there to serve the master, the pet is there to love the master. That is the kind of feeling and attitude of surrender that is required. So just wanted to say, see, and therefore, we don't have to complicate the conversation and make this discussion very complex. But because we don't have the simplicity of the mind, because we do not have this kind of determination to convince us that this is really the pinnacle, this is really the highest level of dharma, we now get into the discussion, and perhaps we make it a little more elaborate, perhaps we make it a bit more complex. But hopefully through this discussion, all the questions that we have will get answered. So in preparation for this conversation, I had come across one Mataji's lecture. Her name is Narangi Devidasi from India. She had on YouTube an hour plus of discussion that she undertook on this verse. So the outline of my discussion is based on what she had spoken of in her class. So if you think about it, the very first verse of Bhagavad Gita is Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. And Prabhupada in the purport of that verse says, because it is a Dharma Kshetra, it will have an influence on the outcome of the battle. Then Arjun Maharaj gives all sorts of reasons when he sees the other army. But in chapter 2, verse 7, he says, Karpanya dosha apahat svabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammudacheta. I don't know what religion is. You tell me what dharma is for me. Because I have come to the end of my wits. So I can give all sorts of arguments, but I know those arguments are baseless because I cannot find an answer to those arguments. I cannot even understand, whether they are valid or not valid. So you tell me. And then he says, I am now your disciple. Guide me through this. So Krishna basically narrates the entire Bhagavad Gita to tell Arjuna what his dharma is. In chapter 2, verse 31, he says, Swadharmam api chaveksha na vikampitum arahasi. Dharmyadhi yuddhat treyo na anyat, anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. So twice in that verse he uses the word dharma. He says, because it is your dharma as a kshatriya, and as per the religious principles of kshatriya dharma, there is no other better occupation for you than to fight. Just fight. In chapter 3, verse 35, he uses the word dharma 4 times. So he says, Shreyan swadharmo viguna paradharmat swa anushtishtita. Swadharme nidanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. 4 times he's used the word dharma, and here the Lord is basically saying, follow what is your nature. That is because the essence of your nature is the duty that you need to follow. Do not try to emulate, copy somebody else what they are trying to do, or because you think that is a better thing. Because Arjun Maharaj in one of his arguments says that it is better to just renounce. Why do I fight? I'll renounce and walk away from here. So the Lord is saying this. You need to follow your duty. Then in chapter 4, verses 7 and 8, the Lord says He Himself comes to this universe, this world, and all His universes. Whenever there is glani of the dharma, whenever dharma is impacted, it is on the decline, He comes. And He re-establishes the principles of dharma. So, all this to say is, the Bhagavad Gita starts on Dharma Kshetre. The Bhagavad Gita starts because Arjun has questions about Dharma. The Bhagavad Gita is all about the Lord telling Arjuna about Dharma. So how can he now say, or why does he say, or what does he mean when he says that, Sarva Dharman Parityajya? So, in a way, could he not have just simply spoken of 1866 and skipped everything? Why? What do we understand of it? We all have gone through this discussion. So I'm actually going to take a pause here and ask this question of you. What do we mean, or what do we understand when in this particular verse, the Lord is saying, give up all varieties of religion. So please, feel free. There is no right or wrong answer. Take a moment to reflect on it and narrate what you think is meant here. Hare Krishna. Come on, no one wants to be brave. We all have an understanding of Dharma. We all have an understanding that we had before reading Bhagavad Gita. We all perhaps have an understanding of at least what Bhagavad Gita says our Dharma is. I mean, in chapter 18, the Lord Krishna speaks about, the Varnashram Dharma, etc. So what do we think the Lord is saying here?
As per Hare Krishna, Prabhu, as per my understanding, I think the most of all we overall I see from this verse is like many times we think like I am the doers, and the many procedures, especially I found the very fine verse is like prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate, chapter 3, text number 27. So, as a doer, we build the ego. I am the doers. And that ego, I think, blocking everything in a short, Just, and surrender parts from this verse I learned what I can understand. I can get the lesson from Radha Mataji and Gopi Mataji's that they totally surrendered. They didn't have any knowledge of Shastra, or they never preach anything about the scriptures, or never went outside and trying to prove what we are. Just to simply surrender themselves to the Krishna's lotus feet, So overall, I think doers makes a more ego built in an individual person, who trying to be Krishna conscious person. And that's what the Lord asking, give up the I am the doer, the most part, the I'm doer. You give up that and surrender total, let me do it. That's what the Prakriti is the doer, everything's happening there. And we become only witness of it. So in short, that's what I get the idea from this verse. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, very nice answer, Prabhu. Very nice realization around the verse 327 and also how it relates to 1866. But Prabhu, just to make the point here, what you're speaking about, Srimati Radharani and the gopis is valid. It's absolutely valid. But to because our minds are inflicted with these questions and doubts, I'm going to ask a question. So, if I am not the doer, or if I at least perform actions without that sense of doership, but that action itself is right or wrong, then am I doing adharma? So I may kill, but I'm like, okay, I'm not the doer, so I'm going to kill. Is that adharma or is that dharma? Right? So all sorts of questions will come to our mind. Just think about it. If in chapter 5, verse 27, the Lord says, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvalok Maheshwaram. If that is really true and we understand that it is true, then why is it that the money we earn is we think it is my money? Why is it that we then feel okay in spending that money on we are supposed to take care of our family, but taking care and indulging the family and family's wants are two different things. So why do we think that it is okay to indulge the family with that money that belongs to the Lord at the cost of perhaps a poor beggar on the street, a child who wants it desperately for his tuition? Do we think to stop that that is adharma? When I have a pet at home, I feed that pet. But I know in winter time, all other animals who are outside are suffering from cold. They are looking for food. Everything is covered by snow. At least those of us who are joining from America and northern parts of the continent will understand this. Then why is it that we only take care of some and not of the other living entities? Is that adharma? If you think about it, even Shivi Maharaj, who was being tested by Indradev and Agni, and they come in the form of a pigeon and the eagle that is wanting to eat the pigeon. So he thinks that the pigeon has taken my shelter, so he wants to protect the pigeon. But why only the pigeon? There are so many, the whole praja has actually taken his shelter. Is he cutting up his body to feed the eagle instead of giving up the life of that pigeon? Is the body of the king belonging to the king? You could have a whole lot of debate on dharma in there, that aspect itself. So what is dharma? And that is very difficult to understand. Mataji, the Mataji that I quoted, Narangi Devi Das Mataji, actually narrates three stories because I speak too much. I'll try to be very brief. So the first story she narrates is of Yudhishthir Maharaj, and after the war, they come to know that the Lord has departed, and they also take sannyas, and they are walking to in the Himalayas, and progressively, one after another, Yudhishthir Maharaj's wife and the brothers pass off, and the dog is remaining, and the dog continues with Yudhishthir Maharaj. At one point, there is a question whether the dog can enter heavenly planets or not, and Yudhishthir Maharaj says, no, he must because he is accompanying me, he is my companion. If you want me to come, then he will come, otherwise I will not come to heaven. And then the dog, who is nothing else but Dharmadev or Yamraj, basically says this was a test. In the heavenly planet, Yudhishthir Maharaj does not find his brothers and wife, but he sees the Kauravas are there. So he realizes the Kauravas are there because they did their Kshatriya duty, they fought and they died on the battlefield. They should get higher planet, so they are here. But he's not understanding why his brothers are not there. So then, the long story short, he's taken to the hellish planets because he insists that he wants to see where they are. And in the hellish planets, he glimpses them, and he is very heartbroken. Will not get into that, but then Yamraj again says, "Oh, this was just illusion. You had to witness. You didn't have to suffer the experiences in the hellish planet. You just had to witness because you performed one adharma." So Yudhishthir Maharaj says, "It is not possible. I have not performed any adharma in my life. Why are you saying I have performed adharma?" So Yamraj says, on the battlefield, when Dronacharya was to be killed, and Lord Krishna says he needs to be killed, Bhima simply followed what the Lord said and went and killed the elephant because they wanted to get Dronacharya to hear the words that Ashwatthama has been killed and there was an elephant named Ashwatthama. Krishna, then Yamraj says, Krishna actually told you that Dronacharya is not going to believe what he will hear. He will come to ask you, has my son Ashwatthama been killed? And I want you to lie. Now Yudhishthir Maharaj is not convinced. So the third story. On the battlefield, Krishna actually narrates this story and this is in Mahabharata, to Yudhishthir Maharaj. And he says, there was this Rishi, Kaushik Rishi. Kaushik Rishi is supposed to be grandfather of Vishwamitra Rishi, or King Vishwamitra. Now, Kaushik Rishi, he is sitting in his ashram. Two, villagers come running. They are business people. They are being chased by dacoits. So they hide in his ashram. Now, Kaushik Muni sees this. He's taken a lifelong vow to only speak the truth. Now, the dacoits come pursuing the two businessmen and they inquire, where are these people? Have you seen them? Now, Kaushik Muni, because he is Satya Dharma, he tells them where those two people are. Now those two people are robbed of their belongings and they are killed by the dacoits. And Krishna says Kaushik Muni had to suffer multiple births just because of that one adharma he performed. So the question is, speaking truth, is this dharma or adharma? And now you would say, some of you may say, oh, I would lie if somebody's life is at stake. So hold on to the principle of I would lie if somebody's life is at stake, or hold on to the principle that I will never lie and I'll hold on to the truth all the time. But what Yamraj says is, Krishna told you to lie, Yudhishthir Maharaj, and yet Yudhishthir Maharaj applied his sense of dharma because he is also Dharmaraj. He was known as Dharmaraj. So what Yudhishthir Maharaj does is, when Dronacharya comes, he murmurs to himself, Narova Kunjarova. So he doesn't follow what Krishna has directly told him on the battlefield. So it becomes adharmas, therefore you had to see this. Otherwise, your brothers and wife are actually not even in heavenly planet, they are in with Godhead in Vaikuntha Dham already. So now coming back to the principle of holding to the truth or saving life. We can all perhaps understand that it is circumstantial. Do I need to speak it? Could I remain quiet? Do I not lie? Or do I outrightly lie because it is good for the greater good in some sense? But then who's going to decide what is greater good? Right? And the only person who can say, I can fully decide what is greater good for everybody is Lord Krishna. Because he knows not only my past, present, and future, he knows everybody's past, present, and future. And therefore, as a weaver who knows where the thread has come from and where it needs to go into this beautiful tapestry he is creating, he knows what is good for everyone and how that is to be manifested. And hence, now the principle as to why we must listen to the Lord. Any questions so far? Are you with me so far? Is this clear? As to why what the Lord says is actually the Dharma and not what we think, because we have notions of what is Dharma. We may have studied what is Dharma, but we are deluded in applying either the notion or what we have studied to practical life situations as to Dharma. Therefore, it is recommended that if Arjun Maharaj had that direct, contact with the Lord, so, whatever the Lord says, follow that. Therefore, it is recommended that if the Lord is not there, then follow at least what his direct disciple in some parampara system is guiding you, because that person knows what you should do in a certain situation. So follow that. Because we do not have the ability. If there are questions, please feel free to stop me and ask. Otherwise, I'll continue on this because there is a lot of ground we have to cover. So we will now go through Srimad Bhagvatam because it begins with 6 questions that the rishis who gathered at Naimisharanya ask of Shuta Goswami, who has heard the Srimad Bhagavatam being narrated by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. So Shut Goswami has witnessed it, he's understood it, and he recites it word by word, the conversation that happened on the banks of Ganga. And that is Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Shut Goswami is present at Naimisharanya at the beginning of Kali Yuga, these 60,000 sages who gathered there to help people like us for centuries and millenniums avoid the worst aspect of Kali. They are gathered there to perform yajna, etc. So they ask Shutdev Goswami as to what is that best dharma. And in response, he says, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo, the best of dharma is Yato Bhakti Adhokshade. And they actually ask, they say, we are asking this question of you, Shuddha Goswami, because we want you to don't give us the logic of all the Vedas and everything. Because you've read and understood the Vedas, because you are able to churn it in your mind and bring that essence out. Give us in that one sentence, what is that parodharma? And he narrates this shloka. Savai pumsam parodharmo. The best of dharma is yato bhaktir adhokshade. And what kind of bhakti? Ahetuki. You don't want anything out of it. That is the attitude of surrender. And apratihata, continuous. There shouldn't be any fall down. So ahetuki, apratihata. So you can't say, oh, I surrender to you, Krishna, then I do what I want. Then again, the next day I get some, negative consequences. And then I again say, oh, I surrender to you, Krishna. And then I keep falling back and coming back. That's not the surrender. So that is one, shloka. Immediately thereafter, in the verse next to the one following, so in verse 8 of chapter 2 of Canto 1, he says, Dharma swanushtita punsam vishwaksena kathasuya na utpadye yati ratim shram eva hi kevalam. So he says, if every other endeavor does not culminate, so whether it is Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga, etc., if it does not result in the love of Godhead, if it does not result in liking and hearing to what the Lord has to say, if it does not result in us doing things that are pleasing to the Lord, then Shram eva hi kevalam. It is only meaningless, futile labor. Just try to absorb what is being said, because this is now Shukdev Goswami, he's being challenged. He was challenged that you read all the Puranas, you've mastered all the Puranas, you've read all the Vedas, you've mastered all the Vedas. So what is that essence? And he extracts this essence and gives it to the rishis. So we are benefited because we don't even have to do all that work. And there are so many such shlokas in, so he's explaining, he takes 15, 20 shlokas. So, and for those devotees who are interested, first canto, second chapter, verse 6 to verse 21 are very good shlokas to read, understand, memorize. So go through that. Then there is another thing that is generally quoted. It is in 6th canto, 3rd chapter, verse 19, 20, and 21, where there is a dialogue between Yamraj and his Yamdutas. Yamdutas are the ones who take our souls at the end of our bodily life for, what is the next destination. So to decide that, they take us to Yamraj. Hopefully not us, because we are engaged in bhakti, but a general soul. So during that thing, and without getting into too much details as to the background to that conversation, what Yamraj Maharaj says is, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranita. Dharma is that which has been propounded by the Lord. And hence, you have to surrender to the Lord. But he doesn't stop there. He says, Nave vidur rishayo napi deva. It cannot really be fully understood by the most realized of sages, nor even by the demigods. Na siddha mukhya. So not even the demigods are in heavenly planet, but there are 4 or 5 planets above them. So even the habitants of those higher planets in Jana, Tapa, Satyaloka, even they cannot understand. So what to be said of asuras and manusyas? Kuto na vidyaschara adaya. So what can be said of humans, demons, and other beings? Then he says, so who understands dharma? Then he says, there are these 12, what's the word? the the term is missing, but they are the Mahabhagavat. They understand what dharma is. And he narrates the 12 names of those people who truly understand dharma. And he
Mahajanas.
says, yeah, Mahajanas, that's right. Thank you, Prabhu. And then he says that is actually Brahma, it is Narada, it is Shiva, Kumaras, Kapila, etc. So, and then he says it is very difficult for others to understand and apply dharma. So that is the point. So what Krishna is saying is, even though I have told you, and there may be situations similar to the situation at the beginning of the war when you got into confusion, situations may arise that will put you into confusion, and therefore just surrender unto me. Just completely surrender. I, as your Sarthi outside and as the Sarthi inside, in this chapter itself, verse 61, we know there is a Sarthi inside who's guiding, directing, who's the Upadrashta and Anumanta of what is happening. So surrender unto him and he will guide. Surrender unto his representative as the Guru and he will guide. So this is the meaning of why or what Krishna means. Sarva dharman parityajya. Do not get into it because there are nuances with it. Just surrender into me. But as I had said at the beginning of this, just is a very misnomer here. It's a misleading word. That just is not a very easy process. Let's not at least delude ourselves that, hey, this is a blank check given by Krishna. I don't have to do anything. I am now surrendered to Krishna. No. Now let's get into what surrender even means. So surrender, as Prabhupada has quoted that verse, there are 6 characteristics of surrender. The 6 characteristics are, anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshasyati vishvaso, goptritve varanam tatha, atma nikshepa karpanya, shadvida sharanagati. So basically, acceptance of those things that are favorable to devotional service, rejection of unfavorable things, conviction that Krishna will give protection, acceptance that the Lord is the master. So he may not even give protection. What is not said, but what is implied here is, as a master, he can decide. You surrender to the master. He may not give protection. He may put you in more difficulty. He may put you into things and situations that you don't want. You never wanted it. That is what is meant by that condition, that he is the master. Full surrender. So it's not even just accepting him as the master. Complete surrender to the situation the master puts you in. And okay, you may surrender fighting and crying and dragging your feet and shouting and whatnot, but with humility, complete acceptance of that surrender and the consequences of that surrender. This is what is meant here. So when we say I surrender to Krishna, we need to have all of these 6 capabilities. Now this is where I believe it links to the only thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ever wrote in his life. So everything else he's discussed and his disciples have actually written down later on. But he himself wrote only Shikshastakam. There are only 8 verses within Shikshastakam. Verses 3 to 8 actually take us progressively through the different stages of the attitude of surrender. Verse 3 says, Trinadapi Surichya. So you need to be more humble than the blade of the grass that is trampled upon by, forget about humans, by any animal, any heavy thing. It keeps falling down, keeps rising, keeps falling down. It may get crushed, etc. Be as steadfast as the tree, etc. So that is verse 3. That is, if you need to have that before you can say, I am going to surrender. You need to have na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, va jagdish kamaya. You cannot have any of these other desires. If you surrender, now your desires are not going to get fulfilled. If you keep the desires and you say, I'm going to surrender, you are not going to be in that feeling of surrender, because if it doesn't come and you have the desire, it will generate kamesha, krodesha, right? So the growth will happen. The rebellious nature will start to again come up. That is why the whole creation is, because at some point of time, in time memorial in the past, we had this rebellion where we said, I want to enjoy. So until we give up this desire, whatever that desire be, we cannot be in surrender. So then, if suppose you've given up the desire, that just puts you to the state of neutrality. What is required is Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Vishame Vavambudo. I am your servant who's fallen here. So not only that I don't have desire to join this, but I am your servant who's fallen in this Visham ocean. Visham is very deep, very dark ocean. Pull me out of this. That is what is surrender. Yet it is not truly surrender, because you are still wanting something. You're saying, pull me out of it. Because I am feeling now separation from you. Nayanam galadashrudarya, vadnam gadgad hridayagira. I'm so fallen. When will this happen? When will I actually truly crave your company? Not only do I need to crave your company, that craving should be so intense that every moment should feel like Yugaitam nimishena, chakshushya pravrishyaita. Every moment feels like a yuga. And then what Prabhuji you had mentioned is the state we reach where the gopis and Srimati Radharani are already at, where it doesn't matter. They live every moment in separation of Krishna, in that ecstasy. They feel that ecstasy, because at that level there is no pain. Everything is ecstatic. They live that ecstasy every moment. Every moment to them is like yuga. And whether Krishna pleases them or not, they accept it. And that is where the last verse of Shikshashtakam comes. Ashlishya padratam pinashtamam adarshanam marmatam karotiva. So that is what is meant when Krishna is saying, Sarva dharman parityaja, give up all notions and all understanding of dharma, but surrender unto me. This is the pinnacle. Don't think that pinnacle is so easy, because he is giving this pinnacle to us after having told us Brahma Bhuta stage in 54-55 verse, having told us the realization of super soul in verse 61, having told us to become Manmana in 65, and now he's telling us to surrender. So that surrender, if you think of this like climbing Mount Everest, everything else is a summit that is on the way to the peak. Now we are at the peak. So it's not just like, oh, you simply reach the peak. You still have to climb the peak through all of these. But what Krishna is saying is, don't regard those interim summits until you come to this peak. This is the peak I am telling you. So that is what was meant just by the first line. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. And I hope, Mataji, you had asked the question, why Krishna? So mamekam is that answer, that I will deliver you. Prabhupada has mentioned why the two-handed form of Krishna. Here also, if you want to surrender, to whom do you want to surrender? Somebody who is the topmost. And Krishna's, the two-handed form, is the topmost. There is a shloka that I wanted to quote. It's a very beautiful shloka. Shriyapati, Yagyapati, Prajapati. Dhyam patir lok, patir dharapati. Patir gatischa andhaka vrishni satvatam. Prasidatam me Bhagwan satam pati. So in this words, there are so many ways Krishna has been said, Pati as master of so many different things. He's the master of everything, essentially. And therefore, why in the previous words in 1865, Prabhupada ends by saying you need to attach yourself to the two-handed form of Krishna. And then the last line, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. So if you are able to do this, then I'll take care of all your problems. I'll deliver you from all your problems. Don't worry. And Krishna has already promised. Actually, as I was thinking about it, Krishna has promised this multiple times in Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 2, verse 40, he says so. Then he also says, Name Bhakta Pranashyati later on. He also, in chapter 9, verse 31, he says that. And then verse 22, he says that Anyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. So he will, if we surrender unto him, at least as devotees who are on the path to pure prema of the Lord, we will have some desires. We may still have some propensity to enjoy. So to such devotees who have the desire and the propensity to enjoy, what the Lord means by saying, I'll take care of you, I'll deliver you, Ma Shucha, he is basically saying, I will protect what you have, I'll give what you need, and this is how I'll take care of you. So we are almost at the end of our time. I'll take a pause here. It was a very long lecture. I apologize for taking your time. But I'll take a pause and I'm happy to hear people's questions, comments, realizations. And if I have said anything wrong, please feel free to correct me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, there's no need for apology. So you're giving an ocean of wisdom and you saying apology. I just can't believe that. And I listening for many times. The first time I learned 6 ways of surrendering and many, many more things. So thank you. Please, I know you're humble, but not that much that you say apology, taking time. So it's such a nice information he gave us Sunday morning in comfort of our home. I mean, what else we can ask? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the stories through which you helped me understand, and every question that was arising in my head. I was getting a response and answer to that. Like I was noting down, maybe I'll ask this question, and then through the stories and all the understanding of the stories, I could get answers to that. So this is very valuable, and thank you so much. I bow down to you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. As everyone enjoys your class a lot, it's the same thing. As it comes to the conclusion, it is more deeper, and I see your throat already choked and you are not able to talk when you say the Saranagati and Gadgadaya Gira. You are already there, Prabhuji, when you speak the lectures itself. It is so nice, and I was so shocked to hear about the surrender. I just joined a little bit late because yesterday I got into an accident. My car was hit by some other car. It was coming to the left side and going straight, and all that happened. And for the doctor, I just called my TCP, and she said, "You are getting saved again and again by the God. I mean, it is not the headlights. If it has hit you, it will be like nothing like car. Its car is completely damaged." And I said, I just answered her, I trust God and surrender completely. So He is the one who is taking care of me. I just wrote that one line, Prabhuji, and I'm thinking like, did I mean completely what you said in the class? Yesterday, I just wrote that line, I trust and surrender completely. So it was so much deep into me today, and I have to review myself. As you said, Dharmaraja was taken to hellish planets just to witness, because he didn't completely surrender through the heart, even if he said it outside, but inside he's just said like Kunjaraha in his mind also. So it is very nice, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we all hope and pray for your well-being. And as a surrendered, it is for our benefit that we will hope and pray, because you are already surrendered. Krishna is anyway taking care of you.
I'm just coming back from a class. It is a New Year day for us. Yesterday morning, I went around 7:30. I was driving back home around 11. So at that time it happened. I was coming from the God's place. I'm coming from a Parayana. So then that's the time it happened actually. I'm going back again now. It is a 9-day thing we do Vasanta Navaratri till Sri Ramanavami. So I'm participating in that program early morning. So I just wanted to be listening more today, Prabhuji, but I wanted to tell you about this when you asked. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. More I listen, I feel like I know nothing, really, and I just feel like the goal is too far from me. I just absolutely know nothing, and try to learn more and more from you. Thank you very much for such a beautiful lecture. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Actually, the verses that are yet to come are now much easier. Perhaps we'll move faster. But what I was going to say is, I'm in the same boat. I'm not as realized, Mataji. I am a parrot. I have said so many times. There are so many devotees who have such higher realizations, such beautiful ways of narrating and explaining things. So when I hear something nice and I see a style in which it is presented, then one, we are supposed to quote and give the credit where it belongs, and then follow through. So that's what really I'm doing. And then, this is what is going to come in the next few verses. All of this is because somebody took the time to propagate the message of Bhagavad Gita, to elaborate on the message of Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, think of it this way. We are catching a train at 8:30. Somebody has caught that train at 8 o'clock. So they are a little ahead in the journey. And we get benefited from that journey. So I just wanted to leave this thought with you, because now Lord is going to talk about the message he's given, how we should contemplate, because just contemplating on his message is a service to him. And then the Lord says that I love those devotees who spread my message. So I was thinking that, all those advanced devotees who are spreading the message, how they are serving the Lord, and it is relevant to what we are yet to read. So wanted to make that link and stop here. Hare Krishna. But thank you, Prabhu. I'm nothing else but a parrot. Anybody else with any question or comment? Okay. So if there are no questions or comments, with everybody's permission, I'll wish everyone happy Ugadi, happy Gudi Padwa, happy Chaitya Navratri, and perhaps if there are people from Sindh, then happy Cheti Chap.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this nectarian class. As Mataji said, each and every point you explained so nicely. This is a very important verse in Bhagavad Gita. And yes, happy Gudi Padwa and Ugadi to everyone. Would you like to explain some importance or significance of Gudi Padwa celebrating?
Sure, Mataji. I mean, beyond saying that, as per our scriptures, this is the day Lord Brahma started creating the universe. So that is the significance, the most, the biggest thing that comes to my mind. I think Lord Rama's, Rajyabhishek happened on today's day. What else? Perhaps other devotees can add. What I know is, in the Sikh tradition, Angad Dev, one of the gurus, he was born today. Almost all of North India and about 70% of India celebrates this as the New Year. Some of us may follow in October time, a New Year, but 70% of India, I think, considers this to be the New Year day. It may, some people or in some places it may be celebrated a few days earlier, some places it may be celebrated a few days later. I think the Tamil New Year may be a little later. And Parsis had a New Year just on 21st of March, so theirs is, I think, fixed. So they call it Nowruz, and it coincides with the that's when I think, no, what's the significance? Now on the spot, I am unable to think of. So March 21st.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Yeah. No, but there is a significance to March 21st, June 21st, September 21st, and December 21st. I know June and December are the times when the night and days are equal. And I think March is when we officially consider winter is over and spring is starting. And September is the other way around, when the fall begins and summer ends. So basically, the other colloquial way to understand this is agriculture, crops have come out. There is a feeling of gratitude from the crops that have been harvested. And there is also spring in the nature, so everything is beautiful. So nature actually brings about everything around this time. And spring is aspect of creation. And as I said, this was the day as for us when Brahma created, the first day when it was created. So that is what I understand of the significance of this day. It is the first day of Navratri, the Chaitya Navratri. So again, another auspicious day, another auspicious way to pray and submit to the Lord. And his external power, Durga Devi, she is the one who's taking care of us as the caretaker of this world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, and this is one of the most auspicious day of Sadetin Muhurta, we call in Marathi, like 3.5 year Muhurta. 3.5 Muhurtas are there in a year, and this is the most auspicious. Like Dasera, this one, Gudi Padwa, and other. I don't remember right now, but yeah. So we can start any new thing on this day today. Like spiritually, materially. So this is very auspicious too. So yes, and yeah, everybody like knows or Ugadi or in Marathi, Gudi Padwa. This is a Sanatan Dharma New Year. So yes, everybody is following Prabhuji in India, all over the India. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Anybody has any question or comment?
So we'll end with a prayer to the Vaishnavas.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Ancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnav ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Naam Sankirtan ki jai.
Jai.
Namaskar Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Hare
Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Great.